Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you to the 351st podcast of the Gyan Pravah series of Dr. Sunita Tandulwadkar, our dynamic Fogsi president. And this is maybe the last podcast which is relayed for the entire wonderful year of Dr. Sunita Tandulwadkar, and going to be relayed on the 14th of January, just as we are at the helm of handing over affairs to the next beautiful team who's going to take over probably in Delhi. And I'm sure this podcast is going to be extremely special because we are having none other than Dr. Sunita again. And welcome, Dr. Sunita Tandulwadkar, for this wonderful last session. When we started, we always think, oh, it's beautiful, but then we have sad memories and say, oh, beautiful memories, but sad note to say that we are going to end this year. And it's absolutely stunning to have this one full year of activities. And we would allow Dr. Sunita Tandulwadkar to talk first, and then we would introduce the two speakers. And I'm extremely honored, humbled, and happy to have this last podcast of the entire year of Dr. Sunita. Over to you, Dr. Sunita.
Thank you. Thank you, Palani. And really, it is a beautiful journey of 351 podcast. I just can't even recollect anything. How this has happened was like a dream. And we open our eyes and we are going to give over. Everything was as planned. And this podcast series was one of the probably unachievable, but we achieved it because 351 days, every day, 8 p.m., the chairpersons coming, not having any interchange with anyone. We had put up the discipline, which day, which chairperson should come. And we had just requested in a very firm voice that you cannot be interchanging with anyone. Don't make a mess of it. On 5th of every month, the X person is coming, has to be on 5th. And let me tell you, Palani, it is a beautiful journey. All chairpersons just outperform. Now, when we are going to the end of this, the last episode, we just wanted it should be different than just the chairperson and doing the faculty. And what else was, Palani, you are my one of the most favorite vice president, and I missed you all the time on podcast series. And what I felt was the two girls who made me do this podcast series. It is a brilliant idea of three of us when we used to sit on Thursday nights and used to discuss everything. The fine day, these girls coming out and saying, why not to do the podcast? Then came an idea, why not to do it every day? Then came the idea, why you don't want to join every day? And because it's important that the faculty should feel respected. They should not feel that, yes, just the chairpersons are coming and taking our videos and interviews, and the podcast is going on, the dialogue between the two of them. It was important to join and showcase our respect that they have joined, because we had from all the backgrounds. And when we were discussing, the best thing I realized is, and the two girls who were instrumental in designing this year were Ashwini and Pooja together, and thought, let's have them as a not interviewer, but as a faculty, you intervening them. And that will be the top of the things. I'm not idea what you all three are going to discuss, but I'm very sure it will be an enjoyable journey, and I'll join the viewers link as usual. And this is the only podcast where the three people will be together. So that will be a beautiful journey coming together. And I think both of them, they are also overwhelmed to talk and to participate in this Gyan Pravah series. One has worked with me during my professional life, and one has worked with me in my organizational life. So both of them, they know me in and out. And depending upon how many bells of the rings go on their phone, if it is missed call, they know how serious it is. So much we live together. We are like a one person with the three beautiful bodies and one soul. I'm so glad that they are in my life. Everyone feels the other way, but let me tell you, my journey, whether in my personal life, organizational life, and everyday life, has become beautiful because of these two icons. And I thought, let them have enjoyment with you. So thank you so much. And I'll join the viewers link to listen to you all.
Thank you, Dr. Sunita. That was very, very mesmerizing. And we had the tip of the iceberg on this particular talk, you telling about both of them. And thank you very much. And I hope that this podcast goes on very well. Thank you.
Thank you. So you all three can continue, and I'm sure you will introduce them in the most beautiful way. Thank you, girls. Thank you, Palani. See you next.
That was Dr. Sunita for us coming and giving the welcome address to the two speakers. And let me have the pride and privilege of introducing the two speakers, Dr. Ashwini Kale and Dr. Pooja Loda. Dr. Ashwini Kale has grown up in Pune for a very long time, and then she's been in the hearts of Dr. Sunita Tandulwadkar. And she's a consultant at the Pune. And what is very, very important is it's not very easy to win the heart of Dr. Sunita, and that is why she has won the heart, and that is why she's been the Joint Secretary of Fogsi. The person who's sitting on the podium in Fogsi Managing Committee meeting is not very easy to go to that particular post. And when Dr. Sunita chooses somebody to do so, she or he absolutely deserves it. And that is what Dr. Ashwini is. And Ashwini has been on the podium for the last 1 year along with Dr. Sunita, and that is why she said my organizational life. And Dr. Ashwini organizes everything for Dr. Sunita, and probably Dr. Ashwini has been one of the best joint secretaries of Dr. Sunita. Before, if I tell what she's done and things like that, we will miss on the podcast. So I don't want to stand between you and Ashwini telling it for herself. So I'm not telling what Ashwini had done to Dr. Sunita and to the upliftment of Fogsi and her way. So I'm sure we will discuss that over the podcast in the next 45 minutes or so. Coming to the next equally important person, Dr. Pooja Loda, who is also from Pune and who's been Dr. Sunita's student for maybe more than 15 years or so. Dr. Pooja has grown up with Dr. Sunita, and Pooja is a fetal medicine consultant, and whenever we call her, absolutely, she's so obliging and very, very nice and fantastic to react with, and she gives wonderful talks with her wonderful presentations, etc. And Pooja has been associated with Dr. Sunita for a very long time, and that is why she's joint secretary. So probably I should not tell that the one is the right hand, other is the left hand, or which hand is more important. That's not what I'm going to say. What I'm going to tell is, these both girls are like the two eyes of Dr. Sunita. So you can't distinguish between left eye and right eye. Both eyes are important. So coming to the eyes of Dr. Sunita, we're going to put you through the eyes of the entire Fogsi today. So welcome Dr. Ashwini and Dr. Pooja for this podcast. So the first question to Dr. Ashwini, it goes like this. Ashwini, what has been your time limit of relationship with Dr. Sunita? When did you know her first, and when did you even think of you should join with her and work with her or whatever? I'm not telling in Fogsi, even before, you've seen her in video, you've seen her in on the textbooks or here and there. How have you known about Dr. Sunita?
Thank you, Palani sir. I think Sunita madam has given us both the best things of our life, talking about her actually openly in public. I mean, there's nobody who's interviewed us like this for so many years, where we get to really talk about her. So I think this podcast was an amazing idea, where she joined every other single day. So I think I have always known Sunita madam as one of the pioneers in endoscopy and IVF in Pune. I mean, every other gynecologist knows her that way. So when I finished my residency here in Pune and started practice, so that is how we have known Sunita madam, somebody who was very active in Fogsi, ISAR, MSR. That is how I have known her. And then eventually it was, I think, the year 2015 when I came to know her very closely, where she had organized the state MSR chapter conference, which is a Maharashtra state chapter ISAR. And she had hardly known me then, and I had just stepped into embryology. So she just asked me one sentence, will you be able to manage this? And I was like, okay, I'll do it for you. And whatever I wanted, without even thinking for a minute that she's a newcomer, whether she'll be able to do it or not, She organized everything. I mean, I asked her for a live lab in the hotel because I thought ki if we do this kind of a setup, it was the first time in Maharashtra that we did it. So it will be very beautiful and unique. And trust me, she, I mean, complied and obliged each and every demand. She never interfered in the entire organizing thing. She had hardly known me. And I think that was that one platform where I was elevated from like 1 to 10 suddenly in the field of embryology, where I was handling everything. And I did it single-handedly. And she made it a point to appreciate me. I mean, she never knew me. I mean, she never had the time to actually work like this because she was a super busy consultant. Surgeries, organizing conferences, and she's one person who actually does laparoscopy also, IVF also, and high-risk obstetrics. Very few people in Pune do everything from A to Z. And she doesn't leave anything to others. I think fetal medicine is the only thing that probably Pooja must be doing. But I'm sure she must have done these invasive procedures also back then. So that is how I was so impressed with this kind of leadership and the platform that she gave me. And I think probably that day I thought ki one day I should also get a chance to repay her back. And somehow during these election years, I just got close to her because I was a part of POGS by then, Pune OBGYN Society. And she had just asked on the group that what are your ideas? How do you think can I do this? And you say, na, she's like a magnet. She just pulled me towards her. I don't know how it happened. And then slowly, I got so involved in the elections that after a year or so, I started feeling it's my election only. I mean, the day she became the president, for us, it was like we have become presidents. So she always says, now why don't you come to Fogsi? So I tell her ki I have had and enjoyed the highest position in Fogsi. So nothing more than this. So this is how our association started way back in 2015. And I'm sure Madam must not even be remembering this conference of Macau. But she did each and every little thing from me. I mean, the smallest incident that I remember is I said, ki, Madam, if we all have those OT dresses, so it will actually look like a lab because we had created it in JW Marriott Hotel of Pune. So she ordered all those OT dresses from a person from Mumbai. She said, if it is an OT dress, it has to be the best. And he is the person who does it. I will order it. You just tell me the number. And those OT dresses also came in from Mumbai. So it was very special for me.
Perfect, Dr. Ashwini. That was wonderful. So you know her at close quarters from 2015, which is 10 years almost now. And over to you, Pooja. Now, when did you know of Dr. Sunita, and how did you know, and how did you come in touch with her for that magnetic effect?
Thank you, Palani sir. At the outset, I'd like to thank Sunita ma'am. I have never been interviewed by anybody. And I think this podcast screen is special because three of her most favorite people are here, Palani sir, not just two. And today is 14th of January, friends. So a very happy Makar Sankranti, happy Pongal, Lohri, Uttarayan, Mag Bihu. And this is a day of transition for us, a day of light. And I'm honored that I get to speak about Sunita ma'am today. And Palani sir, it was, I distinctly remember in 2007, December, that, so I had gotten married in 2007. I'm from Nagpur. I came to Pune. And all I knew was I wanted to do something with the fetus. I didn't know there was a science known as fetal medicine. I knew that I have to attach myself to somebody who does a lot of high-risk obstetrics. So I just Googled around, not like Googled, but I asked people that who's the most, the one with the maximum practice in high-risk obstetrics. And everybody just said that go and meet Dr. Sunita Tandulwadkar. And fortunately, I did not know how strict madam was. I just walked into Pune Hospital OPD and I said I wanted to meet Dr. Sunita. And I just sat in front of her and she's just staring at me. I'm telling her, ma'am, I'm from Nagpur. I've done my MBBS. Now I want to do something under you for 3 years. I don't know what degrees you have, DNB, MS. I'll give entrances, whatever you say. And she was shocked and surprised. And she said, okay, this girl wants to do something. And then started my journey with madam. So it's December 2007 and now today is 2025. 26. I think I've spent more time with madam than I have with my own husband Abhijit. And I've been her student in DNB for 3 years. Then she's the one who introduced me to high-risk obstetrics, told me the meaning of this field, fetal medicine. I just told her, look, ma'am, this is what I want to do. I want to bridge the baby and the mother. I don't know how to do it. And she found out for me that there is a science called fetal medicine. She found out from where I can do the courses. She found out the best in the world. There's Kipros. She wrote an email for me to Delhi. She said, don't go for an interview. Show your passion. Like you showed me, you came to me, you spoke to me. You go to Delhi. I said, how can I just fly to Delhi to talk to somebody that I want to do fetal medicine? She said, that shows how much you want to do something. And this particular thing that she told me shows how much she takes care of people she loves. So उन्होंने ठान लिया था that I'm going to make something out of this girl, and that's the only reason I am what I am today. So I did my DNB over MS. I was getting MS in government colleges in Maharashtra, but I could not leave Madam because I knew what I wanted to do after my OBGYN. And then I did DNB with Madam, and believe me, I mean, my friends were doing MS and we used to compare. Within 6 months of my residency, she gave me a hands-on vaginal hysterectomy. She told me to operate a TLH, a myomectomy, open as well as laparoscopic. I used to do twins, placenta previa, cesareans for her. The amount of high-risk obstetrics she would have under one roof. And then she led me into doing fetal medicine. And the most amazing thing in my life, when I got back from London, so I've done 2.5 years of my course in fetal medicine from Delhi and from London, from Kipros. And when I was back, day one, she trusted me with her first private patient. Pooja, 36-year-old, twins, go ahead, do her anomaly scan. This was the trust she based on me, and that brought out the best in me to give her what I'm able to. This is my relationship with Madam. No words, Palani sir.
So from 2007, you know her, and that is fantastic, Pooja. Now we will go back to Ashwini. And Ashwini, you came into Pune and then started working with her from the time you mentioned. And what do you think has changed your life? In the sense, what I'm trying to ask is, how has your practice changed after entering Dr. Sunita? Or how has your family life changed after it? Don't put this 1 year. I know this 1 or 2 years when she was in elections and then she became president. It was phenomenal. You almost lived with Dr. Sunita, then with Ashish. I know that. But then before, how did it affect your practice? I know she's a magnet, and then all that is absolutely right. But how did it affect your life and practice after you knew her? Leave alone the last 1 or 2 years. Before that.
Yes. So basically, when I came to Pune, I did my residency from Pune. I got married here. I'm from Aurangabad. And I started my own private practice. Unfortunately, I am one of those out of these three who have never worked with Sunita, Madam, unfortunately. But then knowing her so close, we have known her as a leader. Even when she was the president of Pune OBGYN Society and the secretary of the organization, it was for the first time in our lives we had seen that a secretary had a secretary who was actually a professional person. I mean, never in so many years of any organization we had seen that we could designate our work to somebody who's a professional. So she was the first person in our Pune OBGYN Society who actually used to come with a secretary. Okay. So it was so impressive because her leadership and administration was another level. None of us at that time would have thought that you could even have a secretary. Because one thing I've always seen with Madam, she says, never ever compromise with your practice. Whatever it is, I mean, no matter how many organizations you join, but there is no compromise for the practice and the operatives that she does. That is one thing that I've always learned from her. And over these 2-3 years, the passion and dedication that I've seen in her, be it for her elections, for her work, anything, it is unmatched. I mean, her day begins with the planning. And that is how somewhere now I realize how important the planning is. I mean, the meetings that we used to have every Thursdays, for 1.5 years, I used to feel, why are we wasting so much time now? I mean, there's so much time still left. But when this year went by so smoothly, I understood the meaning of these planning and these meetings. Every time she used to write it down, each and every detail. And I used to wonder, why is she writing it down? Why is it so important? We'll remember it. But no, I mean, that red diary you should see. That is something which has the entire 2-3 years of planning put in.
Okay. And how much time did you get to spend for yourself, and how much time you had to contribute to Dr. Sunita before the elections?
before the election, I was not much associated with Madam, either through work or professionally, because I was very junior in our organization. I had just joined in as a managing committee member. And after that MSR conferences, it was just 1 or 2 conferences here and there that we used to meet. And me, Pooja, and all of us were the young brigade where everybody used to give us the work of MOCs, and we were also very happy about it. Even Niharika was a part of it because she was here during her postgraduate years. So it was very good when all these seniors used to call us. Back then, about 10 years back, there was no Nikhil Khatri doing the time management. So for all of us, the stage or the first introduction to Fogsi was doing this MOC, introducing the faculties, or even picking them up from the airport. So that is how we got introduced to these organizations.
And Pooja, you, how did your life change, and or in the way of time management, how did you contribute time to Dr. Sunita and putting up your family and your child and things like that?
So just adding to the Red Diary, Ashwini, it's not 2-3 years. Red Diary is since 2007. Anything comes to her mind, she'll open a diary and write. And I would exactly think what Ashwini said. Why is Madam writing everything? It's such a simple thing. Can't we remember? But she would not just write, she would follow it up the next day. And unless everything is ticked, she would not move to the other day. So that's how meticulous she was there. And yes, she had a secretary. And 2009, there was a conference called IOI, and it was International Ovulation Induction Conference, I remember. So I was one of the most junior people there trying to help Madam around, and there was an event manager. I didn't know this concept of event management back in 2009, but Sunita Madam was the one who introduced this concept. Probably for AICOG, it must always have been there since long. But for a local conference, Madam had Brian, the event manager, and all we had to do was just call up Brian and get the work done, so that we could concentrate on the quality rather than running around for all these things. And coming to my time management, I think during residency, for all of you those who know Madam is extremely strict and very disciplined. She will want every little thing perfect. It's very difficult. It's extremely difficult. I've cried almost every single day for the first 6 months of my JR-ship. And I've gone back in again in that cabin saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And the way she's grilled me in those 3 years is what has made me what I do today. So even today, if I type a report and I feel a spelling is wrong, I'm not one of those who will cancel it with a pen and give it to the patient. I'll retype the report and reprint it, because this is the kind of perfection that we've learned from Madam. Family time was zero during residency. I come from not an orthodox but a traditional Marwadi family, and it was extremely difficult. My mother-in-law telling all the seniors in the house, Pooja's gone for a movie with Abhijit, gone for a vacation, and Pooja was only in labor room and no movies and no vacation. Sunita ma'am would not believe in on-call and off-call. Every day, every hour was an on-call for 3 years. Okay? After the residency, then she started telling me how to prioritize life, how to plan an obstetric career. So when she took, like I told you, if she loves you, she'll not just take time from you, she'll give you more than she takes from you. So she told me how to plan a good obstetric career, how to give importance to kids, and how to divide time properly. So even today, she respects our time. Today morning, we had a meeting at 7:30 about something. Yesterday night, she called me and asked, Pooja, what are your engagements today? Imagine the president of Fogsi, who has 8 panels to moderate in AICOG, who has her presidential address to give, but she's asking me a night prior, Pooja, who's on no chair in Fogsi, in POGS, nowhere, Pooja, when do you have time for a 15-minute meeting tomorrow? Because she has taught me to prioritize life. That is what Sunita ma'am is. She does not ask, she gives more than she asks from us.
Perfect, Sunita. Coming back to Ashwini. Ashwini, when you thought you would enter Fogsi with Dr. Sunita as Joint Secretary, when Dr. Sunita broke the news and said, you are going to be my Joint Secretary, when was that? How did you feel? And what was it, a shocking news, or whether you knew it before? How did you plan that transition of just being one of the juniors to go and sit on the stage next to her as Joint Secretary?
Actually, since the year I started working with her for elections, I think I traveled the maximum with her to many areas of India. So that time spent with her was such an enjoyable period. I think it was more enjoyable than what we traveled together this year, because there was so much of planning, discussions, and there were so many things which she would unknowingly give you advice on. And then you would think, oh my God, she's telling you such an important thing. I mean, I always tell my mother that I have a mother other than you here now in Pune. So somewhere down the line, I knew that she wanted me to be her joint secretary, but I somehow was not ready because I felt maybe I'm not made up for that position or an organization, because for these elections, I was only working for her. There was no other objective. There was no Fogsi, no POJS, nothing. Somehow she kept convincing me that you will be able to do it, you will be able to manage it. Because somewhere I was thinking about my practice, Ashish and the kids, and I thought that I won't be able to balance so much or manage so much. So I always used to tell her that, Madam, 1 year I'll work for you for the elections. The day you become the president, I'll only come to enjoy the conferences. But somewhere she kept telling me that this is going to be a very good platform. And I think that I made the best choice by saying yes. And just because she became the president, I today have this privilege of being the joint secretary. And I think that being on this position and chair, the perspective about any organization has changed in so differently, because you get to see and know so many different organizations because you are in such a powerful position. What actually position and power means, I experienced it in 2025, because I never knew that joint secretary is such a huge position. Because for me, it was only about Madam always. But then she taught me that it is the chair which has to be respected, and how not to misuse the power that you have. That is one thing that I've learned from her. She always gave an unbiased opinion. All her, everything was so unbiased. I always used to tell her, Madam, don't you remember those election years when they didn't help us? She's like, no, election is gone. It is only for a year. Now, when you're in this position, you have to respect the chair and you have to think like President Fogsi. And that is how this perspective also changed for me, that this chair is not there to misuse, but to make connections and to make these friendships which last a lifetime.
Perfect.
So I think it was Rishikesh sir's home when we had the party on 10th of August when the results were declared, and all of us had accompanied her to Mumbai. That is where she broke the news. So I think it was the best day in my life, 10th August 2024.
Good. That was fantastic, and I'm sure you made the right choice. And Dr. Sunita made the right choice as well, Ashwini. So you've done a wonderful job, and it's been very, very good for Fogsi to have you as joint secretary. And Pooja, next directed to you. I'm sure Dr. Sunita would have asked you to do this and that, no doubt, and you did it fantastically well. But I'm sure she would have also asked you to take some position somewhere, either in POGS or in Fogsi. How did you convince her not to take so far?
I think it's very difficult to say no to ma'am, and Ashwini, for n number of times before she actually broke the news on 10th of August, you all can imagine that everybody had already presumed that I'm going to be her joint general secretary in Fogsi. I mean, nobody had any doubts. So although Ashwini had started traveling, but everybody used to, Pooja Lodha was associated with Sunita Tandulwadkar. There was no second thought about it. But I kept convincing ma'am, and finally one fine day I told her that, Madam, I'm going to work for you as much as I have been on the chair and without the chair. I don't need a chair to work for you, and you know it. And I think this sentence, she believed in me, and she agreed that, okay, this girl doesn't want position, because before this, she's told me to take up positions in POGS. She's told me to take up chairperson posts in Fogsi, and also the joint general secretary of Madam. And I've been successful in refusing all of them to Madam. But yet, I've proven to her that I'll keep working for her. And therefore, she agreed to this. Going a step further, Palani sir, you won't believe this. This is a confession, and I've never said this before in public. Before Madam finally officially announced her candidature for the president of Fogsi, I used to tell ma'am, don't go in for the Fogsi president. Because I know ma'am's practice, And I used to tell her, ma'am, your patients need you more than anyone in Fogsi, because anyone will be a president and next year there'll be another one and more. But what you do for your patients, like Ashwini said, she's doing excellent IVF. The number of couples who've blessed her, endoscopy, complicated surgeries, high-risk obstetrics, from birth to puberty to reproductive age to menopause. She manages womb to tomb, like literally. So I thought, with this practice, I can't imagine a clinician completely shifting onto an organizational head. But today, in fact, I was convinced during elections that she's doing the right thing, and I told her that being a leader, using the right power at that position, not misusing it, and bringing about changes at so many levels, from the core, village, rural, public sector, private sector, bringing in so many changes via the position that she took. I think it is the best decision that she has made in her life to go in for this presidency, and not at all compromised on her practice. And that was because she is a multitasker. She has so much energy, enthusiasm, passion, and a wonderful team back there, even to support her for her work, which she has trained and which is as passionate as she is. So, Sunita ma'am, here I take this public platform to tell you that I was wrong. This is the most beautiful decision you've taken and lived up to every bit of it. And thank you for doing it for us.
Lovely, Pooja. Ashwini, now having said that, on August in Dr. Rishikesh's house, the news was broken. And how did you plan, and how did you think that you could survive this 1.5 years or so? And I'm sure that even I was called in 6 months before she took over, and we had night meetings in this hotel, that hotel, whichever conference we met. And I had my own diaries to plan for Dr. Sunita. She will tell us notes and she'll say, Palani, you're in charge of the Arogya Yoga Yatra and things like that. So I need to plan. So how did you manage? And the first thing is, how did you plan your diary with Dr. Sunita after having broken the news that you're joint secretary? One. And two is, how did you manage the people who were not able to reach Dr. Sunita? I'm sure everybody, when Dr. Sunita has not reached, they'll call Ashwini. So how did you manage that particular point as well?
I think it was a very, very difficult decision to make, because as Pooja rightly said, it is very difficult to say no to madam, because the passion with which she convinces you, and you know that she is taking the right decision for you. I must literally thank Ashish on this public platform today for having managed both the house and our other hospital when I was not there. Because no matter what, whether you are even physically absent for a conference, you are mentally engaged with the work. Because the kind of work Sunita madam does is on 360-degree platform. I mean, there are multiple things going on at the same time. And each of her program or whatever she plans is larger than life. There is no small CME, no small conferences, nothing. Everything is national and international. So I think it was Ashish's support majorly. And because he said yes, probably I could take the plunge. Because if he would not have cooperated for this 1.5 years, it was very difficult. Because you're constantly occupied with these meetings, with these plannings. Even though I was not traveling a lot during the entire year, that was one thing which Sunita madam very graciously agreed that it is fine if you don't want to come to the conferences because you don't want to go ahead for any chairpersonship or any other Fogsi post. But you work from home. So that was very incredible. And I think because of her, somewhere I learned multitasking also. I never thought I would be able to do it, but late nights, yes. I mean, many a times kids did suffer, but then it was always for the good. I think I made up for them for this entire year. And as you said, how about those people who couldn't reach Sunita madam? I think she planned this in such a way that it was very good that she said that whatever it is has to come through the joint secretary. So probably that is why the joint secretaryship got so much of importance and people actually called me. Otherwise, if they could have directly spoken to madam, there is no work that the joint secretary as such has because the office is taken care by the general secretary. So all the conferences are taken care by the VP and the zonal conferences. But just because of this, I think I gained a lot of importance in this 1.5 years. And somewhere I also learned triaging the calls and the importance of the calls, and then to let her know as to what is to be done. And the message by her, that also I learned to triage, how to pass it on, not in the same way at times. So it was a very, very good learning experience for me. And because of her, I also got exposed to many other organizations like UNICEF, UNFPA, CIF. Otherwise, I mean, there was no chance that I as a clinician would ever get to speak in front of them or get to meet the leaders. So that time she always used to tell ki this is the position of the chair. That is how, because you are on the Fogsi chair, they call you, they give you so much of importance. Your opinion matters. And slowly, when I saw her interacting with the government of India, then I understood that how responsible this position is that she is holding, because it matters that she represents these 46,000 gynacs. And her voice is so important because of this. And that is how she bridged this gap between the public and the private sector. So you're muted.
Pooja, coming to you, I'm just asking you, you wouldn't have had these phone calls while Ashwini was bombarded with phone calls of not able to reach, and what happened to this one, when is Sunita traveling, when is she reaching the place, when is she going back, and things like that. While she was doing that, I'm sure your concentration was mostly on the culminating event called as the Star Sampurna. So I'm sure all of us witnessed the real starring effect of Star Sampurna. How was the pressure on you on the Star Sampurna?
So, Madam gives you pressure, but she is the one who teaches you to sail through it. So, that was easy. This is ironical. I say it's like an oxymoron. When I tell her that she gives you freedom to do whatever she wants, whatever you want, you can do. But she micromanages. So, on one hand, she made Ashwini the in charge of all the workshops and me the in charge of the conference. So it was a very well divided and a demarcated job, and there was no overlap. At the same time, we always had each other's backs, me and Ashwini, throughout the year. And yes, when she told us to do whatever we wanted, she would still focus on things like the stage design, the LED that is going to be used, the material of the flex that is going to be printed, the font, the letter invitations. 6 months before the conference, our program, I mean, you were a very instrumental part of the scientific committee, sir, and thank you so much. You've been involved in every small process, and it was very good because at times we couldn't reach out to Madam for every small thing. So you were really helpful to take those decisions at that level. So the scientific program was ready 6 months back. The faculties were invited already 4 months back. We had everything in place. And believe me, it was like a wedding. It was a rehearsal for my kids' wedding that I realized when the 3 days of the conference happened, from the food to the venue to what we are wearing to the academic content to the number of delegates, photography, videos, social media, the fashion night, the gifts we are giving back, everything was planned by Madam. We were just executing it, and it just happened. And at the end of
you won't believe the packing paper design was also overlooked by Sunita, Madam.
Absolutely.
And we were like, how does it even make a difference? It's just a wrapping paper. She's like, no, it should have our logo. It should have the Fogsi logo, the color, the size. And I'm like, now this is impossible. We cannot match it.
And no, it can't be straight. It's got to be diagonal at 45 degrees and got to be packed like, oh my God. But Ashwini, the day that it was given to everyone, we realized how beautiful these details looked. And when the 3 days of Star Sampurna were over, we realized that we had so much fun. We were not under pressure because all the pressure was already managed backstage beforehand. And it was amazing. Not just Star Sampurna, despite not being on chair, she's given me some very important projects this year, and I would like to put on a note here. Number one was EBR, which was EBR 1 and EBR 2. You've been a part of it, sir, so you are aware. It took 8 months each for each EBR. The process started 8 months prior to January 2025, and that's why it was released on in January 2025 AICOG. So releasing 10 books with 250 authors on the day of taking over as a president speaks volumes of how far behind she started planning. she entrusted me with this responsibility. It was such a hit that we went on to do EBR2. And you know how this was conceptualized. There was a physical meeting of EBR1. Do you remember in Panshet? She's a beautiful host and a total traditional Marwadi at heart, with all the food and the gifts she'll give you everywhere. She makes every occasion larger than life. And during the physical meeting of EBR1, she told me, Pooja, don't breathe. This is not the end of your responsibility. From tomorrow, you're working on EBR2. And I'm like, okay, I'm yet to just, even this feeling is not sunk in. And she gave me another 10 books. And soon, tomorrow, within 24 hours, you all are going to experience how this EBR2 has beautifully shaped up. So the 2 EBRs, a project called Mukta, which she's taken up for eradication of hemoglobinopathy in India. She's aligning with the government of India. With power comes responsibility, and she's lived up to this quote. She is aligned with the government of India, and we are doing this project Mukta, which is, she doesn't believe that as a president I'm going to do this work and my work stops on 15th of January 2025. She's taken up this project and she wishes to continue doing it for the next 2 years and even more till the vision and the mission is achieved. Third was Project Smile Train. So she's attached Fogsi to Smile Train, which is the biggest international NGO for cleft lip and palate. And these responsibilities, she's made me the national convener. She's left no stone unturned for anybody to question why this girl, Pooja Lodha, who's nobody in Fogsi, is made the national convener for these 3 important projects. And thank you is not a word I can say to Madam with the responsibility and trust she has given me with all this. Thank you, sir, for giving me a platform to say all this, because जब मैडम सामने आते हैं कुछ बोला नहीं जाता है. Probably she'll listen to me through this.
Perfect.
And you know, Palani sir, the best part is that she has all 3 of us, me, Sejal and Pooja, and she knows who's best at what. So it is like we always tell Lekha that she doesn't have 1 daughter, but she has 4 daughters now. So she exactly knows who is good at what, and unknowingly she gives that responsibility to that one person. Like Eagle is totally taken up by Sejal, and then she'll never interfere. But if we 3 need each other, we know that we are there for one another. So that is how we also sail through, and then Madam is also very happy. So that is the best part, where she knows whom to tap to for.
She knows
Like
the right
whenever
part.
there's any vice president work, her first priority is always call up Palani, tell him, he'll do it. If there's a chapter for writing, she knows that Palani is very good at it. It's anemia, call up Palani, he'll send it in a day. So that is how, I mean, she knows how to take out the best from somebody.
And this triangle, Ashwini, Sejal ma'am and me, and madam is the center heart. And this is how this year has functioned. So the name may go, jiska bhi naam jayega, but we always had the chorist group. And by the way, I had named that WhatsApp group Na Bhuto Na Bhavishyati. This group was created 2.5 years back when the elections just started. And Palani sir, do you agree today that this year has been Na Bhuto Na Bhavishyati?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Madam has made it happen.
No second thoughts. Okay, to come to conclusions and say yes. Now, Ashwini, what do you think is the best project which Dr. Sunita, I'm sure everything is very good for this year. Even I'm a part of everything, so I'm very, very happy. What do you think is the best project you like about Dr. Sunita's year, and what would be your future next year or the subsequent year? Your future, not Sunita's. I know what Dr. Sunita's future will be. What are you going to do next year and the subsequent year? I know I'm asking in public, but then still, yes. 2 questions to you and the same 2 questions to Pooja, and we will end.
Yes, I think it is like asking a mother, which is your best child or whom do you love the most? I think all her projects are awesome. But for me, her dearest project, and which is very near to my heart also, is Arogya Yoga Yatra. Because somewhere I was a God-fearing person, but I was never so spiritual. I think she is the one who brought me so close to spirituality. And I've literally seen miracles happen when we are with her. When you hear it from others, you feel, okay, this is just hear and say. But then I literally would like to put it on record today, Palani sir, when we planned these Arogya Yoga Yatras at these 13 different places about a year before, all of those days was so special that we never knew it when we planned it. We had planned it accordingly to her calendar of conferences and various projects. But like we started with Tirupati, so that 21st January was the first day that the mandir opened after 45 days. When you did Rameshwaram, it was the special Ekadashi. When she did Puri, it was the time the Krishna Janma was happening, Krishna Janmashtami. So these are just miracles that you experience with her. And I think she has literally made me a very, very spiritual person at the end of 1 year, because she truly believes in it with dedication and passion. She always tells me that I leave it to Gagangiri Maharaj. And I tell her that I leave it to you. For me, you are the Gagangiri Maharaj. And I know that any obstacle in my life, whether it is personal, professional, whatever, I know she's there. I mean, even through these Fogsi years or all these organization problems, wherever we were stuck, only one thing we knew is call her up and ask her, Ki, Madam, now this has happened. What is to be done next? And she comes up with a beautiful solution. So that is one perfect thing that I've learned from her. And I think the next 2 years, I'm going to enjoy Madam's ISAR presidency. Me and Pooja have decided that we are going to pick up the locations wherever the conferences are, go and do a holiday Saturday, Sunday with her.
You deserve that, and so you need to do that. And Pooja, the same 2 questions to you.
Yeah. So madams, another virtue that we all really need to learn from madam is that any responsibility is given to us and we do it and we get praises. If suppose Dr. Sunita Tandulwadkar receives praise for EBR, she'll step back and they say it's Pooja who's done it. But if there is any author who's unhappy about something happening in EBR, it didn't happen, but just an example, she would lead from the front. She would take responsibility and we have her back always. And it's a beautiful thing to know that there's somebody behind your back who will take your side and your stand even when you're not there. For me, the past was Sunita ma'am, today is Sunita ma'am, and tomorrow is Sunita ma'am. So Foxy or no Foxy, Pooja is Sunita ma'am. And an aspect of Sunita ma'am that I think none of you know is she's a child at heart. My kids love her more than I love her. I mean, you all know how much I love her. You cannot even imagine. Ruhi will bounce when I tell her, okay, we have to go to Sunita auntie's place, because ma'am becomes childlike with children. She's a split personality. On the stage, when you see Sunita ma'am, you cannot imagine this is the same lady who's just playing hide and seek with these little kids, pampering them with donuts and balloons, and you cannot imagine what a sweet child she is at heart. And even with us, Ashwini, I think madam has spoiled her. The way she's fed her through all these times, she's taken care of what are you going to wear
our
for
kids
this event?
As well. I mean, you can't imagine, sir, every Thursday we used to come back from her place with tiffins.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the kind of hospitality she has. Pooja truly said she's a true blue Marwadi.
Absolutely.
Even in this Star Sampurna conference, sir, I was the organizing secretary and I was telling madam, you have already given the chairperson. She's like, Naiga, azun diun taku, kai nahi hot. Living is giving.
She just gives. Yeah.
I'm
and
like,
she forgets,
we have to
forgives
stop
and
it now. She's like, no. I still have to give them. These are my VPs. These are my chairpersons. They have worked for me. So I think her hospitality is another level.
I was a resident, sir, of first year JR when I lost my dad. It was sudden. I was with madam. And I flew back to Nagpur, and within 6 hours, madam was in front of me. I don't know which teacher, she was just there at Nagpur just because she knew at that time, she may not have met my dad too many times. But this was the time when she felt she needed to be with me. And this is the most beautiful gesture that she's done for me in my entire life. She's touched me. She's touched my son, so she delivered me for Shaurya, and she was the first one to touch Shaurya, even before me. And today, with a 16-year-old Shaurya, I know how blessed he is, because a spiritual, highly intellectual and a good intent person like Sunita ma'am was the first person to touch Shaurya. So I'm so blessed to have Sunita ma'am in my life. I cannot imagine my life without ma'am.
Perfect. And I'm sure that we've been having wonderful time for the last 50 minutes or so. And to end this wonderful podcast or wonderful year of podcast, the last podcast 351, and on the 14th of December, should I say Happy New Year to everybody before we finish 2025, the year of Dr. Sunita, or Happy Sunita year, should I say that way, to 3 of us who've been absolutely close related with Sunita. And this podcast is absolutely different because we could know different perspectives of Dr. Sunita, like which nobody else could even know. And the whole year of Sunita has been absolutely stunning, and it is fantastic to have Ashwini and Pooja join us in this podcast. And we will see everybody on this 14th of January 2026 when we're going to hand over the beacon to the next team. But then Dr. Sunita is just handing over as president, but as a person, she's touched everybody's heart, mind, soul, and life. I'm sure all two of you will agree to me with that last statement, and anything you want to say, you could, and we will end this podcast.
I think thank you so much, Sunita madam, for being there for us in our lives and for giving me this platform professionally. I mean, it is amazing. At such a young age, I would have never had so much in my plate. And she ensures that your plate is always overfull. I mean, through her entire year, though her mission was Har Ghar Foxian, I think it's the other way around, where it is Har Ghar with Sunita madam, because she's literally touched each and every soul. Thank you so much, madam, for this opportunity. And thank you, Palani sir.
Thank you, Palani sir. Thank you so much. We love you, ma'am.